This Week in Startups is brought to you by ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Twist listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. Go to ziprecruiter.com/twist. Blinkist, the only app that takes thousands of best-selling nonfiction books and distills them down to their most impactful elements. Go to Blinkist.com/twist to start your free 7-day trial. And Hover. Your online identity begins with your domain name. Show who you are and what you're passionate about. Go to hover.com/twist and get 10% off your first purchase.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis, and today we're going to talk about one of the great tragedies of our lifetime, which is how we're abusing the ocean. As many of you know, we're facing potentially an extinction level event in our oceans and on our planet that would be unprecedented. And we have overfishing occurring. We have what would be sustainable fishing causing massive pollutants due to antibiotics. And we have the great garbage patch in the ocean and shark fins being ripped off of people. We're not respecting the oceans. Many of you know I'm passionate about this issue, working with ocean elders and Lonely Whale, and you see me tweeting about using straws. Happy to say we, after lobbying Starbucks a whole bunch, they finally agreed to get rid of straws. And they've got now plastic lids. The next step is to get Starbucks to get rid of the plastic lids. And some of this is going to come from activists and nonprofit organizations, NGOs as they call them, non-governmental organizations. And some of it's going to come from corporations having a conscience, but most of the change we're going to see in solving humanity's problems, including the massive problems we face with the sustainability of our oceans, which we've only researched and discovered and explored a tiny fraction of. Paradoxically, we're going to kill massive swaths of the ocean before it seems we even explore them. A lot of that's going to be solved, I believe, not by the governments, not by corporations, and not by NGOs. They may help on the margins. They may do the right thing sometimes. But entrepreneurs, individuals who decide they want to change the world, have the clearest path to making an impact. And that's why I encourage people to not go into the nonprofit space, go in the for-profit space, and make products that are sustainable and services that are sustainable, make tons of money, and do what Bill Gates did. Deploy that money after you've become worth $100 billion to change the world. Putting aside my personal feelings, we're very lucky today because we're starting to see more startups emerge that want to tackle issues and opportunities around our oceans. And when I got an email a couple of months ago from the Sustainable Ocean Alliance, I thought, wow, this is fascinating. They are creating their own accelerator, and they have a bunch of companies. So I thought, why don't we invite the first class, just like in the X-Men, the first class, to come and pitch us on their startups. So today you're going to hear about 5 different startups all working in and around the oceans. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they're doing. So you're going to get my initial reaction to these companies. They've agreed for me to give them my trademarked candid feedback, brutally candid, honest feedback. First up, Humberto.
Yes.
How are you?
Great, thank you.
Where are you from?
I'm from Mexico.
You're from Mexico. Where in Mexico are you from?
I'm from Sinaloa.
Sinaloa? Where is it?
So this is in the northwest of Mexico.
Northwest?
Yes.
On the ocean or?
Yes, we are next to the Ocean Pacific.
Got it. Okay. So not as north as Cabo or that
we
far
are actually crossing the Gulf of California just in front of Cabo.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. Look, that's a little dangerous. My friend almost got killed surfing over there. Is it a little rough, those waters sometimes?
Not really.
No?
No.
Oh, my friend told me he got dragged out to sea when he was surfing out on the tip there by Cabo.
Well, I'm 26 years old and nothing happened to me until now.
Okay, great. Until now, and now you're in the tough shark-infested waters of This Week in Startups. So we'll see how you do. You have 2 minutes on the clock, and you're going to tell us about ETAC. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, 3, 2, go.
So thank you so much for inviting us. So I'm the founder and CEO of ETAC, Environmental Technologies. I want to share with you an issue which is happening not more often than we currently know. So you may know about oil spills. big disasters in the oil platform. However, if we see in the numbers, actually the sea is getting more polluted from the pores and the places close to the pores by micro oil spills instead of the big ones. So thinking in this issue, many people is getting affected. Talking about fisheries, the people from the ports, the people who is living around. And thinking on that, we have developed a smart solution, which is integrating either a nanotechnology and IoT for bringing a smart solution. So the first side of this solution is a novel nanomaterial that we just developed last year. Those nanomaterials, they really are really good for absorbing pollutants. They are magnetics. The absorption capacity of this material is 1/50 times its own weight. So that means that they quickly clean the ocean, and it's very easy to remove from the water using only magnetism. The other side of the solution is an IoT device which is able to let us know when a micro oil spill is just occurring, so that the device could deploy our nanomaterials immediately. And using magnets, we can get out those pollutants from the sea. So we're in the development of the device for containing and removing the oil spills. The interesting fact is that we already have a device which is monitoring the water, either in Mexico, and we have a test here in the Bay. So it's already, we are working for deploying on either in the App Store, on Google Play. So every now could be looking what is the water quality, talking about micro oil spills. So we are providing solution not only for the ports, not only for the people who is living there. We are looking for the economical benefit for many actors in the place. So our vision is to start with ports and marina, then go for bringing solutions for the oil spills, and eventually becoming a data company. We're a multidisciplinary team.
Got it.
And thank you.
Awesome. Well done. Let's give him a golf clap, studio audience. Very nice. Humberto,
Yes.
Kudos to you for attempting to build this and getting started. That's great. I have a bunch of questions. I'm going to go through them in a rapid fire way. First off, why don't we solve this problem of oil spills by having boats be not mechanical and have them have electric motors and eliminate oil from ever being anywhere near the ocean? Wouldn't that be a better solution?
That could be, but considering the fact that until now, the main source of energy in the world is coming from the oil, we are bringing a smart and quick solution for the issue that we have currently. Definitely thinking in the future, that will not be an issue because we will be...
How far are we away from that, do you think? Having electric boats at scale, maybe 10% of boats being electric, because there's no boats that are electric now, right?
That's true, and I don't have a good idea. However, they need a lot of energy.
So we will then posit that we're far off from having, even though we had an electric boat company on our podcast already, we're far off from having the no oil solution. So we will need some solution. So when you say you spread nanomaterials,
yes.
I was fascinated. What does this mean? Are you putting a blanket into the ocean? Is it the consistency of like a grain, or because that wasn't in your presentation. I think the presentation was okay. It's like a 6 out of 10. You really didn't explain the solution well enough. So that would be my one tip for your presentation. Okay. But putting that aside, explain to me now, take a second stab at explaining to people who are listening, who don't know what nanomaterials are, what exactly these nanomaterials are and how are they put into the ocean? Because it seems like if you're throwing nanomaterials into the ocean, you're polluting it with more stuff. So explain to us how exactly this works, or it will work, because you haven't done it yet.
Yes. So first of all, this is a sample of the material coming just from the lab. Nanomaterial is a material.
You're holding up a test tube with what looks like a powder in it.
Yes, it's like a powder. Yeah. It is magnetic, and it really loves the pollutants. So it has a high absorption capacity. And also because it is magnetic, as soon you come with a magnet to the water, it will jump into the magnet. So it's also a material which is naturally occurring. So we are not actually polluting the ocean with something different, which is already in the nature. And it's also non-toxic either for the environment, but also for human health.
So you're going to dump how much powder into the ocean? Is it a vial like that, or is it like a bucket load?
So for example, if you want to remove 1 barrel of crude oil from the ocean, you will only need 1 gallon.
1 gallon.
Yes.
So you take a bucket,
Yes.
small bucket, not a huge one, and you just dump it into the water.
Yes.
And do you have to be exactly where the oil is? Or I would assume being close in proximity is a good idea. You sort of sprinkle this on top of it?
Yes. So we're developing, as I told you, the smart device, which is going to deploy immediately as soon they detect the micro oil spill. And with magnets, we will be able to remove it from the water.
Got it. So you dump in the powder from an unmanned vehicle. So you're going to send like a UAV out?
It could be, or either from the boat, which
Got
is
it.
actually polluting.
So you have to find the oil and be near it and then dump it on it. And you can tell with sensors if there's oil in the water. There are sensors that exist in the world today to do that?
Yes. Also, we have in mind developing our own sensors, but there are already very good ones in the market.
How did they clean up the BP oil spill?
Well, it was a controversial topic because actually what did happen in that time, they made, in my opinion and from opinion of other people, the opposite about the proper way to clean the oil spill. Actually, they add dispersants, so they were spreading the oil instead of making a contention.
They use disbursement techniques,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
what? They put soap, Dawn soap
Yes,
in there?
like soap. Exactly.
Did I just guess that? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
That is how they clean up an oil spill, is they take
Yes.
liquid soap and dump it on top so that it breaks apart into smaller pieces.
Yes. It's what they did in 2010.
So now we got a soapy Gulf of Mexico? Or the soap itself is biodegradable?
Some of them are, some of them are not.
Got it.
So my technology is bringing actually the opposite. I'm not trying to disperse, I'm trying to
Yeah, no, I get
concentrate.
that.
Yes.
You made this technology or you're outsourcing that to a nanotechnology company?
No, this is the result of my thesis. I was making my thesis, a master's degree in University of Calgary in Canada. So in that place of Canada, everything is about oil. So I tried to do something different, more in a green way.
Got it. So you were going for your master's.
Yes.
And do they have a nanoscience department there, or how did you learn about nanotechnology?
Yes, actually, since I was an undergrad, I was involving in research about nanotechnology. Then in University of Calgary, they have a big group talking about nanotechnology. And at the end, I performed 6 months research in Boston.
How do you make it? How do you make that formula, that powder you have there in your hand in the vial? Is there some machine that makes it?
Sorry?
How is it made, and what is it made of, the nanomaterial?
Well, we have some reactors.
Reactors.
Reactors, yes. So this is like a big tank where we add some chemicals by mixing in the proper, according our receipt, and then we got our material.
Got it. So you make a smoothie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then that comes out as a nanotech material.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Have you actually tested this in the wild or only in a laboratory?
We have some tests, either in the lab, and also we have been performing the test regarding the ASTM methods, which are actually the standard methods. The same methods which are used for validating the technology of the products in the market. We have the same test. Also, in collaboration with a group of Harvard University, we made a research and we found that our material is not only environmental friendly, but also not harmful for the human.
So the answer to my question is, which you kind of half answered, is you've tested it in a lab, but not in the field? It has not been done in the ocean yet.
Not in the ocean. And
okay.
Actually, if you do that in the ocean, you will be polluting the ocean. So there are some special laboratories for doing that.
For the tests?
For the test.
So when you want to test it, when do you think it'll be ready to go in the ocean? In other words, when will you clean up your first oil spill in a dock or a marina?
So we have been trying to approach for example, the Mexican agency. So we could make a real test when they have like a real oil
So my
spill
question is
fever.
when? Get to the point.
So if we get the investment that we are looking for this test, we will be ready for the early next year.
So if you can raise some amount of money,
yes.
you'd be able to do it as soon as
yes.
Q1 of 2019.
Yes.
All right. Always be direct as a founder, okay? And this is my pro tip for you. Is your first startup?
Uh-huh.
Is it your first startup?
Yes.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk about picking something meaningful and important to work on. I think it's tremendous that you did that. Like you picked something that actually, who knows how profitable it'll be, but you picked something that's important. That's great. I think obviously there's going to be some profitability here. Your customer is going to wind up being the government and those emergency crews that return it, right? You're not going to sell it to a port or a marina. Or would you sell it to the marina to have the system so they don't get sued and get fined? What's the rollout plan here? Who do you sell to?
Actually, we see that there is a diverse customers that we could have. Because
who's the number one customer?
So they may be the current companies which already are cleaning the oil spills.
Got it. So the remediation companies.
The remediation company because
would want a new solution other than Dawn soap.
And actually, they are just spending money on that. So with my solution, they would be able to recover part of that oil and eventually get something.
Let's give a big round of applause to Humberto. Well done.
Thank you.
I have 150 investments. Number one challenge I get from my founders is hiring. And you know what I tell them? I say, go to ZipRecruiter, because it will post to job sites and the platform brings the right candidates to you. It identifies people with the right experience and invites them to apply to your job. Not like posting to a job site and waiting and waiting. These invitations have revolutionized how you find your next hire. 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. And ZipRecruiter even spotlights the strongest applications you receive, so you never miss a great match. What are you waiting for? You have like 3 or 4 positions to fill. I know it. If you're listening to the show, you got to fill those positions. Go over to ziprecruiter.com/twist. That's ziprecruiter.com/twist. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right. It's the smartest way to hire. The right candidates are out there. You just got to go find them, and ZipRecruiter knows how to get them. So get over there, ziprecruiter.com/twist. Next up is Nadia, who is the co-founder of SafetyNet. Nadia, are you ready to go? Are you nervous after seeing Humberto and ETAC?
Super nervous, but I think I got this.
All right, very good. You have 2 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Thank you. So, Jason, do you like fish?
Yes.
Great, but you might be surprised to know that right now 1 out of 5 fish that's being caught is actually the wrong fish. So in the fact that they're either endangered species, too juvenile, or just the non-market species to be sold. And this is actually leading to billions of fish being thrown away each year, and it doesn't help with a growing global population that's dependent on fish as their primary source of protein. So we develop devices at SafetyNet Technologies to help fishermen catch the right fish and repel the fish that they shouldn't be catching. And we do this using light. So let me demonstrate. Jason, say that you're cod and you love green light. I'm salmon and I hate green light. So if I were to shine green light, you'd be swimming towards the net and I'd be swimming away. And that's exactly how this works. So we've worked with scientists over the last 10 years to determine how different fish species respond to different wavelengths of light. And this has resulted in some really crazy reductions of bycatch. So this was a trawl that was done off of the coast of Oregon with 40 repeat trawls where it showed bycatch reduction by 90% repeatedly. And the amazing thing is, this isn't just across shrimp species, this is across sea mammals, seabirds even, turtles, and crustaceans. And so different wavelengths depend on how then different species will react. So in terms of our business model, we will be operating as a hardware as a service model because we want to have a constant feedback loop with fishermen to be able to provide them with the most up-to-date scientific rigor and in turn also get data back from them. We have a really amazing team with 3 co-founders with great tech and business backgrounds, strong advisory board, and partners across tech and industry. So we've up to now raised $1.4 million in non-diluted funding. We've had over 10 scientific pilots and 4 commercial pilots. We filed IP, and we're looking to raise a seed round by the end of the year. So we'd like to make fishing brighter.
Aw, let's give her a big round of applause. So great pitch. I think you're very clear in what you're doing. My first question is, who discovered this phenomenon, and the great word for it, that certain species like and dislike certain lights? Where did that come from?
So it actually came from a scientific paper that was written in the 70s.
Wow.
So back in the 70s, there was a scientist literally chasing fish with a flashlight in a tank to see what the reactions would be, and started seeing some interesting behavior reactions of some being attracted and some being repelled by it.
Now, sharks are attracted or not attracted to certain lights, correct?
Yes, not repelled, yeah.
What color light are sharks?
So they've been shown to respond to more of the yellow, orange reddish wavelength.
They like that, or they are repelled
They're
from that?
repelled from that.
So why don't surfers put red and yellow lights under their surfboards?
They hopefully will be soon. So this is from an
I'm saying that
initial
sort of
trial,
slightly facetiously, but do you actually think a shark who's on the hunt, who was going to take an exploratory bite out of a surfer, if there was a light underneath it, might be repelled by it, or is that just...
So this is
wishful thinking?
No, I think maybe on a grander scale, yes. We haven't tested it out on surfboards, but definitely in trials with sea nets as well.
Okay, so I saw in the trial, for those people who are listening, a bunch of shrimp with some white fish in there that look like sardines or something. I don't know what they are. Anchovies?
They are mackerel.
Mackerel.
I believe.
So...
Oh, wait, no, sorry. These are eulicons.
Eulicons, okay.
Yes.
I've never had one. But anyway, let's say they're mackerel, for argument's sake. You had a bunch of shrimp and a bunch of mackerel, and then you reduced all the mackerel. I thought what fishermen did was they would take this and they would separate them and then keep both. Am I wrong?
A little bit. So sometimes they are able to have a certain quota for... if it were mackerel, for example.
Yeah.
But sometimes one might be choke species, which means they are not actually allowed to be catching them at all. Or they might be having a certain quota limit, so they can't actually sell more than that quota.
Got it.
And then there's also kind of the sorting time that goes into that then kind of creates a lot of extra cost for them as well.
Well, and that's what I was sort of, my next question, which is, what is the reason a fisherman... I don't know what the non-gender specific word for fishermen.
Fisher people.
Fishing people who fish. Let's see. Fireman, firefighter, fisherman, fish catcher.
Could just be fisher, right?
Fishers. No, because then you start thinking fisher like the cracks in stone. Anyway, fishermen, people catching fish. What would they gain by using this? Because it does seem to me that's going to add cost.
Yeah.
What would it cost for this fishing fleet here that's creating the shrimp to deploy? What would it cost them to deploy per year?
So what's interesting about in Oregon now, actually, because of the results that they've seen in light, they're actually required to use light as part of their fishing operations.
So there's other people who provide light solutions?
There's lights that you can simply attach, yeah. But it might not be those as versatile as ours.
Oh, I see. So people are putting lights on there that can't change. You've made a smart light.
Yes.
Is that an IoT light in some way that would give you some added benefit to being attached to the net? I'm assuming these are attached to nets?
Yeah, so they can be attached to nets, but also to pots and traps and different gear. So it's quite diverse in how it attaches in itself. But at the same time, it's programmable. So it's being able to set it to the right settings without fishermen actually having to know, the 350 wavelengths.
How do you set it? You just flip it over? And
No, we have it's a program device. So you attach it.
A remote control?
A little remote control. We're hoping to get it into an app form so you can use it in their phone.
What does it cost you ballpark to make one of those? It looks incredibly cheap to make.
It is
$10, $20?
We haven't operated or being able to manufacture at scale yet, so we haven't gotten it as low as we wanted to. But yeah, it's a little bit confidential, but it's affordable at the end of the day for fishermen.
But it's not a smart device. It's just a light that can be switched to different colors.
It's a little bit more than that. So in terms of the feedback loop that we will get in that, we'll be able to program the right settings for it so that fishermen can say, I want to catch cod today and not mackerel, for example.
So do fishermen fish one species typically? Because that was my impression.
It depends. Yeah, so the fishermen are either focusing on one species or depending... on the season, or there's also mixed fisheries fishermen.
So if you were a mixed fishery, you would order the one that's programmable. But if you were only doing shrimp, I might be ordering
one light. Yeah.
I may only need one type of light.
Right.
Fascinating. And you hope to make a company out of this.
Oh, we are a company. Yes.
You are a company now.
But we hope
the
to
non-dilutive voting were grants.
Yes.
Are you a nonprofit or for-profit?
We're for-profit.
Thank the Lord. I was getting very concerned that you would want to be a nonprofit. For people watching at home, don't be a nonprofit. You will attract B-level talent, and you will not be able to get investors who want to have violent, unnatural returns on capital, which means you will be always cash-starved and begging with your hat out to get money. But you did beg with your hat out to get those $1.4 million in non-dilutive grants.
Yeah,
who gave you those grants?
So a lot from government, a lot of different academic and scientific
How long did
partners.
it take you to get those grants? How much effort was it?
Oh, it's a lot. So Dan, who's the original founder, actually started this as a project from his undergrad project 10 years ago. So in the beginning, it was definitely hard getting that kind of traction and people to want to support the technology. And so
it takes years, 4 or 5 years to get these grants, probably?
Yeah, it took him a couple of years to get some initial grants, yeah.
Yeah, so that is, I guess, the trap of these grants. They're non-dilutive, but they're small, and they're not sustainable, repeatable, or effortless, or quick.
It takes a while to get a bit of traction. He's done well on that part, but definitely we're at kind of a more impatient stage right now where in order to commercialize, we need faster funding than that.
And do people outside of the United States and Europe care? Because my understanding also of the issue is that people in China or some other countries may not care about this issue.
It depends on the country, definitely.
I don't mean to single out China, but they're notorious for not caring about the environment.
Fair enough.
At scale.
Yeah.
So, is that your experience as well?
A little bit. And so we're targeting the markets where there is a little bit more of that pressure, but also regulatory pressure. So countries, we're doing, for example, a trial with Indonesia, where Indonesian government is actually very proactive about sustainable fishing and really eager to get this in the hands of their fishermen.
Because that's a major revenue stream for their country?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
They have, I think, over 1,000 islands, so lots of fishing opportunities there.
So now that you've gone down this road with one device that could help this reduction significantly, a lot of times that will be a wedge strategy, and they'll discover other ways to solve the same problem, which you're solving for efficiency in fishing and saving fishermen and fishing fleets money. What's the next 2 or 3 things you could build that would make them more profitable through technology?
So there's a couple things. So besides Pisces, which is what this device is, which is designed for fishermen by fishermen.
And for people who are listening, it's about the size of a small plate, and it's about 1.5 inches thick, and it's got lights on it, and it looks like it could go underwater.
Exactly. So it goes up to 1,000 meters underwater.
Right.
So it's been tested quite well.
Okay, what are your next
iterations?
Yeah, what could you do next to help this issue?
I know this is a buzzword, but data. And in terms of oceanographic data and usage data, so one is just being able to give it to fishermen to be able to determine where best to fish and where it could be most effective for them. But then there's also other stakeholders that are interested. For example, regulators who want to know where this was deployed, when it was coming back up. There's different stakeholders like energy that want to know the areas of the water that are ripe for their businesses. There's
energy businesses, like
so
people looking for oil.
Specifically for like wind turbines, for example. They're very cautious about the water that's around their turbines. So being able to monitor that, and if this is in the area where our idea is that we'll have a network of these that are deployed that can then capture that.
So that would be
data.
very interesting if this was required and it had sensors and it would know the depth you went.
Yep.
And it knew, maybe had cameras on it eventually.
And it can determine the quality of the water there and things like that. Salinity.
They could, the countries that are obsessive about this, Hawaii, Fiji, the United States, could then require something like this, a monitor, just like they require on cars.
Exactly.
To have catalytic converters and whatnot and seatbelts, things to protect the environment, protect the passengers. You could actually think of this as a sensor for nets that benefits in multiple ways what's going on out there.
Exactly.
Because it's the Wild West, isn't it?
It is. And our hope is that with this, fishermen can become more regulatory compliant as well. So it's easier for them and at the same time builds that database of knowledge for others as well.
All right. Well done. And if you know what, if it doesn't work, all you have to do is deploy them and put Wi-Fi on them. And then all these lobsters and crustaceans that love the internet, they'll just be able to have like a Wi-Fi mesh network out there in the ocean.
Yeah,
there's no Wi-Fi underwater.
We'll think about that.
The waves don't go very fast. All right.
Great, thank you.
Let's hear it for Nadia. Well done.
Cheers.
Did you know that 88% of financially successful people read at least 30 minutes a day? Warren Buffett and Bill Gates credit their success directly to reading. The problem is, we all are super busy and there's not a lot of time to read. Well, Blinkist is the only app that takes thousands of best-selling nonfiction books and distills them down to their most impactful elements. You can read or listen to them in under 15 minutes, all on your phone. I have been using the service for over 6 months, and 5 million people are joining me using Blinkist to expand their minds. Just 15 minutes at a time. I like to listen to Blinkist when I'm driving to the office or working out, and here is my personal recommendation. Go check out Learned Optimism, How to Change Your Mind and Your Life by Marty Seligman. And it's right here in Blinkist, and what's great is you can listen to it or you can read it. I have already read that book, but I like to do a little refresher, and Blinkist is great. To do that, I also was listening to Dan Harris's 10% Happier and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People because I hadn't read one or two of those books, and I decided, let me start with a little overview of it, and then I'll listen to the book. So there's a lot of different ways to use it, but the Blinkist library is massive. You can check out top titles like Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss, The Snowball, Warren Buffett, and The Business of Life, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. That book you see everywhere. You can get a quick overview of it. What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. That's another great book that is in the Blinkist library. So here's your call to action. And this is a limited time. Blinkist has a very special offer. Go to Blinkist.com/twist and start a free 7-day trial. That's Blinkist, Blinkist, Blinkist.com/twist. And you can start a 7-day free trial. It's a really, really great way to get key insights. So I have really enjoyed it, and Blinkist is a great product. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. All right, let's meet another company trying to save the planet, specifically the ocean, which is the majority of our planet. Chelsea, you're with Loliware? Loliware. So you have 2 minutes on the clock. 3, 2, go.
Hey, Jason, thanks for having me. This is Chelsea Briganti, myself. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Loliware Edible Bioplastics. So our mission is to replace plastic with hyper-compostable edible materials derived from seaweed. So we have a brand new category. It's a niche market that we've been dominating since 2014. We call the market disappearing disposables. So these are the disposables of the future. What we do is we combine seaweed intelligence and innovative manufacturing methods to make our products. So you may have seen us on Shark Tank in 2014, 2015. We launched with the world's first edible drinking cup to replace plastic cups. Our next product is the edible hyper-compostable straw of the future. And I'll give you a quick demo on that one. Maybe.
All right, so what we're seeing here is you're going to need to hit that play button right there. We're seeing a Starbucks cup. It looks like you've got a little iced coffee.
Yeah, you got an iced coffee, and that's actually lolly straw there, Jason. And that is
that crunchy
the straw
green straw
of the future.
you're hearing.
That's derived from kelp, and it's designed to replace plastic. It disappears in weeks versus lasting forever.
Wait, now you said it's made out of kelp?
It's made out of kelp, that's right.
So it's from the ocean.
Yep.
And paradoxically and tragically, straws often wind up in the ocean.
Yep, that's right.
To the tune of billions a year.
Yep, hundreds of billions a year.
Hundreds of billions a year. Wow.
So that was the quick product demo for you. And just so you know, my background is in disruptive innovation for global CPG companies. My head of sustainability was previously with Al Gore at Generation. I have a kick-ass technology team from Dow DuPont Chemical, biopolymerists, seaweed biologists, and we're working to disrupt this whole planet full of plastic. I have incredible traction. I've raised $2 million from 3 VCs and impact investors. My early adopters on the Lolly Straw technology are Marriott and Pernod Ricard, but I have a super 6 of CPG companies that are waiting for billions of straws. Prototyping with all of them now. The straw is just the beginning. I'll be doing lids, cups, utensils, you name it. The straw is just the beginning. And we believe we're on our way to tackling climate change and to replacing plastic and to avoiding the marine plastic pollution, preventing plastic from going in the ocean.
All right, let's give Chelsea a big round of applause. Well done. Okay, so to be clear, we may have seen, I didn't see this, but a pitch for an edible cup. And is it edible? The cup was edible as a gimmick, as a marketing ploy, or did you actually think people would eat and enjoy eating the cup? I can't believe I'm saying this with like a straight face, but was the cup that you could eat like it's intended to be eaten, or you could even eat it?
It's up to you. I mean, I've seen the head of food and bev at Four Seasons eat multiple cups. I've also seen people just throw the cup.
That guy's a crazy guy, though.
Throw the cups
partied
in.
with him.
I know,
He's
right?
crazy.
Me too. I've seen cups thrown in the compost, and the point is that these disposables are designed to disappear, and there's a couple ways to disappear it. You could eat it, Jason, if you're hungry, or you could compost it into soil.
What does it taste like?
I have all sorts of really radical flavors. Imagine cannabis cups, vitamin cups, lime cups.
You had me a cannabis cup.
Diageo just ordered 100,000. They want it for Johnny Walker. They want it for their vodka brand. So in that case, it would be flavored. But
the cup would be flavored.
Other huge companies like the largest fast food chain in the whole world just wants clear unflavored.
Are people using flavored cups in the wild right now, that first product?
Yeah, our early adopters were Aramark and Four Seasons.
Got it. And is this product at some level of revenue scale yet, or is it just an experiment?
I did $500,000 on the cup, and I have orders for 55 billion straws. For every billion straws I sell, it's $20 million in revenue for us. So
it's 50 cents a straw or so?
It's a lot of cash, Jason. Got about $1 billion in orders right now.
40 cents a straw is what they cost?
40 cents? No. We're on par with paper and bioplastic at about 2 cents a straw.
2 cents a straw. And then I guess one has to ask the next question, which is in terms of sustainability, if the world moved to this, would there be no more kelp left in the ocean? So you're ripping kelp out of the ocean to make these. Is that sustainable at scale?
So we source all of our seaweed from the most sustainable company in the world located in Norway. But the long game for us, Jason, and I think you'll love this, is that we're using bioreactors to produce our own strains of kelp. And that's how we're going to ultimately scale and go up against big plastic.
So kelp built in a laboratory, and it's currently kelp built in a farm in the ocean in Norway.
Yep, that would be wild seaweed farming as phase 1 and bioreactors in phase 2.
Got it. Fascinating. Does it take much more work to make these than plastic currently?
What's cool is plastic straws are an extrusion process, and so is ours. Whereas paper straws, you have to kind of wind them around a mandrel, and it's really difficult to scale that.
Fascinating.
So this is the straw of the future right here. If you want to interact with it, it might be fun to describe
let me see
how
the straw. Okay, so I'm holding the straw of the future. It feels slightly different than plastic. It feels stronger.
Yeah, it has a great tensile strength, and when
I'm bending it, and it's not super bendable.
Right.
It's only slightly bendable.
And that's the first MVP. I think we can, release future generations that would be even more flexible. For example, I have a huge client out in Germany who wants juice box straws. So there's about 10 touch points in the whole straw category. And you can imagine those little U-shaped juice box straws, 100 billion a year.
How long would this take if I threw it into the bay here to decompose?
I have samples that have been in seawater in my lab for about 2 weeks that are almost gone.
Wow. So in under a month, it would be gone in the sea.
Yep, designed to disappear.
That's interesting. Fascinating. And if it was eaten by an animal, if a sea lion ate it or a turtle ate it, what happens?
So, we've all seen that crazy turtle video where the straw's in the turtle's nose and they're removing it. With our straws, it actually becomes food for wildlife. So you can imagine the turtles, the fish could actually munch on it. It's seaweed going back to its home. And what we're really doing is revolutionizing plastics and replacing them with seaweed. And, nature makes its own biopolymers, and we're really leveraging that existing intelligence and manufacturing at scale.
When I'm drinking out of the straw, if I'm one of those maniacs who buys the iced tea with no ice in it from Starbucks and then puts ice in it and nurses it all day, would the straw start decomposing in the same day as I use it?
So, what's cool? You probably use paper straws, which last for about 45 minutes. Ours lasts for 18 hours.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't have that issue.
It doesn't have that issue.
So you're better than paper straws.
We're better than paper and more sustainable than bioplastic, which is derived from GMO corn. So it depends on what industry you want to support, seaweed or GMO corn.
Yeah. I don't know which one would have the bigger environmental impact. You would know better than me. So,
well, seaweed, I'm not sure, just to nerd out real quick, seaweed sequesters carbon. So same can't be said for corn. We actually use a positive input.
Right. When will these be available on store shelves?
So,
because I just bought 5,000 paper straws for my house.
Yeah.
I bought whatever the largest pack is because I was like, I just want to have these for the next 5 years so nobody ever uses plastic in my house again.
Well, I'll send you 5,000 Lolly straws soon because we're about to scale up to the millions this fall. First launch partners, Marriott Hotels Global, along with Pernod Ricard, which is a really cool
I know
alcohol
Pernod Ricard
brand.
because I drink Ricard.
Yeah, me too.
It's a pastis.
So we could do all sorts of fun stuff with them. We're doing a cocktail straw as well.
Okay, but my question was, remember the original question was, when will consumers be able to buy it on a store shelf and where?
We are not targeting store shelves whatsoever. We're going straight B2B to replace plastic at scale. And if you want to buy a Lolly straw, we'll probably do an Amazon thing next year.
Got it. That's what I was thinking. Because I know people, it seems like on Amazon, there's a large number of people buying stuff for small businesses, home offices, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because the prices are so compelling and it's just so easy to order from them that they have large quantities available. Like I said, I bought like this 5,000 count straw box or whatever it was, 1,000 count, I can't remember. But so you're saying maybe next year consumers will be able to buy them and experience it?
Yes, or you can stay at a Marriott and experience the straw of the future. You could go to a bar like W Hotel Bar and get the straw of the future at the bar because Pernod Ricard is there.
Why are these hotels so into doing this? Is it like a marketing thing where they feel like they want to get the cookie and the high five from the customers?
I think there's a lot of market forces and regulatory forces that are supporting all of these straw bans. And Loliware is really at the forefront of this massive change towards going plastic free.
Explain what those straw bans are and where they're at. Who's done straw bans and how did those come about? Because I don't think the audience is super familiar with that because it's a new thing.
Yeah, so San Francisco is definitely leading the way, the state of California. There's 10 other states, but looking globally, the amazing thing is that there are huge bans being approved throughout the EU. You look at islands who are really up against plastic on the seashores and affecting fish populations. Indonesia, Taiwan. We are featured in the Taiwan EPA ban, so we're working with working at the country level, the government level,
so
to help them replace plastic.
You might benefit from the fact that governments are banning plastic straws.
Exactly. Yep.
Just like they did with plastic bags. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah. No, there's a number of U.S. cities that have done it, but there's also some, I think there was a country, I think one city in India banned it.
The whole subcontinent of India is banning plastic very soon. And actually, Kenya just banned plastic, and it's $40,000 fine to use a plastic bag now.
Yeah. 3 years ago, California lawmakers passed a ban on single-use plastic bags. Last month, Starbucks announced it would ditch plastic straws.
Jason, what's cool? In San Francisco, they've banned corn plastic, and they've approved Loliware as a part of the ban.
Why would they ban corn plastic? It seems...
Because corn plastic functions the same in the marine environment as a plastic straw. It never really breaks down. And we didn't get to talk about greenwashing, but we'll save that for another episode.
What is greenwashing? Define that for people.
Greenwashing is when you market a product as sustainable when it's really not. So we look at corn plastic, which is big corn, GMO corn. All those products typically go to landfill or they go to the marine environment. Whereas our straw, if it hits an ocean or a waterway, it breaks down in weeks. So plastic lasts forever, and sometimes corn plastic does as well.
I am fascinated by what you're doing. I think this
Jason, are you in? Do you want to invest in Loliware?
You're that type of entrepreneur that I love. Like, the first two entrepreneurs are like doing a great job, but you're the type of entrepreneur who actually asks for the money. Let the first two founders who pitched know. It is attractive to an investor for somebody to ask them for money.
We're doing big licensing deals right now. You can get at the very end. We're going to cash out in a few years.
All right, I'm going to tell you my number one and my number two after we get through all five. And if you're in my number one and number two, that means I probably do want to invest, and I probably do want you to come through our incubator. Let's give a big golf clap for Chelsea and Loliware. I love domain names. You know that because I own inside.com and launch.co, and I own calacanis.com, obviously, but I also own aday.com. I had 20.com for a while and sold that for $2 million. I love domain names. Great domain names are awesome. They speak volumes for your brand, and you need to buy domain names in a very simple, quick, and easy way. I hate most of those domain registrars out there because they're constantly confusing me, and they're not clean and not simple. Hover.com is an amazing way for you to quickly and easily register your domain name. Here we are. My team registering the domain name launchpartnerships.co. And what's great about it is you can one-click buy. Look at this. Proceed to checkout. And we can have Who is Privacy for free. Who is Privacy is super important so you don't start getting spam. And you all have experiences. You register a domain name, you start getting flooded with spam. A lot of those other domain registrars, in fact, all of them are charging you to do privacy. Nope. They do it for free. And I want you to go to hover.com/twist, 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 like hovercraft, and you will get 10% off your first purchase. And what's great about their product is it easily allows you to connect those domain names, as you can see here, to any website, whether you're using Squarespace or Wistia or Tumblr, whatever you're using. They're going to make it super easy, and they have best-in-class customer support. And they personalize your email with your domain name, and they have over 400 domain name extensions to choose from, including all the classes, but fun niche extensions. It is an amazing product. So here is your call to action. Go to hover.com/twist, 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 and get 10% off your first purchase. It's elegant, it's simple, it's clean. It's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and that's what you're looking for in a product. It's a great product. Go check out hover.com/twist. Our next contestant on Save the Oceans is Phillip White. Welcome, Phillip. Where are you from?
I'm from Yorkshire, Northern England, but I've spent the last 9 years in Australia, so excuse the mixed accents if it does come across like that.
It's a complete disaster. I was like going to try to guess where you're from, and I was like, is it Sydney or Scotland
I need
or
some
whatever?
sort of accent coach happening, but we've got one, luckily, so it should be good.
All right. So remember, English only on this podcast. It's an English audience.
I'll try.
And I mean proper American English. And so you have 2 minutes on the clock to tell us about Sustainability Cloud. 3, 2, go.
Hi, my name is Phillip White. I'm the founder and CEO of Sustainability Cloud. It's our mission to eliminate global waste streams, and we're going to do this by creating the world's first waste-to-profit platform. We're all familiar with the problems, the ocean plastics, the vast amount of waste that's still ending up in landfill, the huge amount of waste that we produce as Westerners every day, not to mention the physical financial cost, $24.5 million a year cost to landfill, and $300 million a year to manage San Francisco's waste streams. We want to flip that on its head and see waste as an asset. We're partnering one of the Bay's biggest sports teams in the area, and we're taking approximately 2.1 million single-use disposable cups a year, and we're transforming those cups using that waste into reusable cups. Now, what our platform does, it powers the connections to make this happen. So we connect waste producers with waste processors, recyclers, with manufacturers, back into the person who produced it in the first case. So what we have is a closed loop where waste can be turned into a valuable asset that can be used by the person that created the waste. This is all powered by our platform, and we simply take a transaction fee on every single transaction on this. So this creates a lot of value for the waste creators. It allows us to track material into reuse and recycling. It allows us to match materials to solutions and products. We can provide insights that have never been provided before because we're now flooding the space with data. It's currently run on spreadsheets and phone calls. We're enabling transactions to be executed seamlessly on the platform, and obviously we're providing full transparency. So you actually can see where the materials came from, what they used to be, how many times they've been recycled. And ultimately we're creating profit from digitizing waste streams. We've had early funding and investment from the SOA Alliance, and we're also, post-Gala, we're looking for a seed funding round. We've got a great team. I'm a serial circular economy entrepreneur. This is my second startup, and my CTO, Russ over there, has joined us in San Francisco this month. We're working with a large stadium, and we're looking to expand to offices, airports, cities, and eventually the world.
Okay, well done. Let's give a big round of applause to Phillip and Sustainability Cloud.
Hopefully that was English.
Okay, so you have built this product already, or you hope to build this product?
So we're building it. We're building it. So we've got an MVP ready.
So it's not built.
It's not ready to scale in
It's not built. It's not launched.
It's not launched, no.
Got it. Okay, so you're pre-launch.
Yeah, true.
Important for people to know. Important for you to say, just as a tip for when you're presenting, if this presentation was, here's the product we're working on, then it would be a perfectly fine product, and I could give you some tweaks of how to make it a better presentation. But I'm sitting here going, if this product's in market, this is a bad presenter because he's not telling me who the customers are, how much money he makes, or how he makes money with this company. Correct. So the things that are missing from this presentation are who are the customers, how much do they pay, how do you make money, what are the current ways that they do this already. So the pitch needs a lot of work, but the idea is very good. Correct me if I'm wrong here when I explain it back to you, because what you want to do as a founder is be able to explain your idea to somebody and have them explain it to another person better than you did. Correct. Or as good. And one of the great things about explaining it to another person is, and then hearing how they explain it to a third person playing this telephone game, is that you can fix the leaks in your presentation. So if I were to explain this to my friend tonight when we went to dinner, I'd say, yeah, this kid's making like, it's kind of like a marketplace, like eBay or something, and he basically takes the people who are making the cups and he introduces the people who buy the cups, and then he's introducing the people who buy the cups to the people who want to recycle them, and then he's explaining that he's getting the recyclers and he's connecting them with the people who made the cup to begin with. So he's kind of like a broker or a marketplace for all of that. And I guess he starts with the person consuming it, and if he gets the person consuming it to buy something sustainable, then he can use that as the way to collect. But I'm not actually sure how it works, and I'm not sure what percentage he takes or if they pay a subscription fee or not. That's how I would explain it to my friend, is that I don't actually really get it all that much.
Yep.
So you failed in terms of explaining it on that way. But you tell me, how close do you think I came to your vision of explaining it? 80%, 60%? What did I miss in my re-explaining it?
So we're a brokerage and marketplace, and obviously because we're pre-launch...
A brokerage,
a broker and marketplace. So we're in the early days, we're kind of concierging a lot of these transactions until we can prove that obviously there's enough of a market there.
Who do you go to first?
So we're already in discussions with basically the biggest sports team in the area and the biggest stadium in the area, and we're negotiating a proof of concept with them for the end of this season.
So you think that your customer or your initial customer is the people who buy the 2 million cups?
So it's the people who use and dispose of them. So we're focusing on closed ecosystems. So places like stadiums, office blocks, we can control that waste stream and have access to it, working with the major tenant or the major creator of that waste.
So typically they wouldn't care because they're just like, we buy cups for the cheapest price, and we pick the waste people who pick it up at the cheapest price.
Correct. But those are both cost bases. So you pay for the cups and you pay for them to be disposed. What we're suggesting is we actually take that material, generate valuable products from that, and then give it back to them. So they're actually recouping the value of their material.
Who's recouping?
The person who created the waste in the first place. The
so you want to go to the Warriors and say, hey, if you buy your cups from this other location, we'll pick them up for free, or we'll pay you for the pickup. Which one?
We'd use existing logistics. So we're already speaking with all the partners who work with the stadiums on the logistics side of it. So we're not saying...
So you actually don't know if this will work or not. You're just starting out, to be candid. You're at the start of this.
We've had validation tests in Australia, and they've worked
Explain
on
that then.
So we've created cups from industrial waste streams and put them into reusable cups that we can use for festivals to eliminate single-use plastics, and we've proved validation.
And then you went back to the festival and collected the cups from the garbage?
No, they get reused. So
reusable cups.
Instead of a garbage bin, they go in a reuse bin, and then they're taken away, washed, and returned.
So your goal as a company is to reduce waste.
Correct.
That's your thesis.
Correct.
Would reducing waste be better done by getting people to use reusable cups or to recycling? Which is better, reuse or recycle?
Reuse every time. So where we are at the moment is a broken recycling system where a lot of the recycling, even in this city, gets sent to Asia. We want to keep that recycling here to create reusable products.
When I say reuse, I mean I drank from the wine glass, they cleaned it, and you drank from it.
Correct. So we're working with the stadium on this. So we want to enable products made from reused and recycled materials.
Oh, okay. So the idea would be I would drink beer from a plastic glass that would then be washed.
Correct.
At the stadium?
Yeah.
So see, this is where I think, it's a good chance for founders to think from first principles. You've heard about this sort of first principles thing. If you want to reduce waste of plastic cups, getting people to use a reusable one would be probably the biggest challenge, but the best way to do it. Washing a glass has less of an impact, or washing a piece of plastic has less impact than
correct
recycling it?
A far lesser impact, yeah.
What would you say? It is an impact, a tenth, a hundredth?
As an example, your average coffee keep cup, you need to use 33 times to justify the single use. To wash them on site.
The average cup, you would need to wash 33 times. In other words, the energy to wash a cup 33 times equals...
to create that cup as well. So it's about 33 times better than disposables if we're looking at that side.
So... But yet we don't have any incentive when we go to Starbucks to use a reusable.
Correct.
Or very little.
So there's a whole piece missing here. So not only do we want people to reuse their products that they have, but also to have those products full of recycled material. So we're starting with the lowest denominator, which is recycle, and then we're promoting reuse as well. So
here now you're pursuing two different businesses. So here's what I'll tell you about that. That can lead to you not figuring either one out because you have divided your attention, right? So if I were to tell you, hey, I want you to open up this dry cleaner, and I'm going to also open a spaghetti store across the street. And it's kind of related because people get spaghetti on their jacket or their shirt, and then they're going to want to dry clean it. So now you got to be good at making spaghetti and meatballs, and you got to be good at dry cleaning. Maybe it's a terrible analogy. I would almost rather see you pick one and do one really well, because the reuse is a whole different sale. Getting somebody to agree to that reuse, I don't know who actually agrees to that.
For us, it's about, so whether we're transacting materials through a supply chain into recycling, or whether we're transacting the use of products to our platform, it's just basically, okay, so we're tracking where that material is and where that product is. And as far as the reuse and the promoting that reuse goes potentially at a stadium, then it would be up to the partner how they do that. But all we would say is, we can introduce you to logistics partners and washers, and we can power. Let me
ask you a stupid question. Why don't the people who make plastic cups that are made from recycled materials also, why hasn't that company merged with, bought, or created the service to pick them back up and bring them back to be recycled?
Well, it's venturing out from their traditional business model, I guess. But ultimately, we're struggling for infrastructure at the moment. So, where are these wash facilities? How much do they cost to run? So you've got to find partners that are pretty progressive, which is one of the reasons we're in San Francisco, because there already are partners out there that are doing pickup and wash and reuse. And we're actually working with one of those now on the stadium use case. All
right. Well, this is pretty interesting. I personally think that the business of reusable in a stadium, that to me seems like an incredible use case. You can't give them glass because they're afraid people are going to throw it on the court, right? They would never give glass at a stadium.
No.
In Europe or in Australia or some other progressive country that cares a lot about this, maybe Norway or something, or Sweden, is there a place where I would go to a stadium and get a reusable cup? Does that exist in the world today?
There are use cases in Australia.
Really?
One of our partners in Australia powers the hardware side of it, and we're speaking with them to power the digital side of it.
I have no idea what you mean by that.
So basically, they struggle to source recycled plastics for their cups, so they're using 100% virgin materials in their cups. So
I got it. That's that piece. But I'm talking about reusable cups. They wash the cup.
Yeah, they wash the cup and they take it away, wash it, dry it. And then again, they struggle with inventory management, so they need a digital platform to sit this reuse on top of. So again, it's the transactions. So it's a transaction platform of reuse.
Why wouldn't you just create a company that makes reusable cups and a washing system that is extraordinary, that's on site, and provide that as a service?
This is our partner in Australia, so they're working
they do
on
that. Is that a good business?
It's early days. It's early days for them, and I can't comment on their business model. But they're one of our partners that came to us and said that we're struggling to source recycled material, and we really
the reason they're using those recyclable material. There's a reason they're rewashing the cups at that music festival or whatever they're doing, because there's a government mandate, or because they want to get a high five and a cookie and be sustainable, and it will attract more people to the festival.
A lot of the festivals are kind of more altruistic and forward looking, and so they'll look at this use case and go with it. What we're trying to do is kind of add a lot more data metrics around these transactions of materials, and so instead of seeing a material as a cup or as a piece of resin, as a piece of plastic, we see it all as one. So they're all materials. They're just in different stages of their life cycle. And our platform manages the transactions of those, whether they be products or whether they be pieces of resin.
Let's hear it for Phillip White of Sustainable Cloud. Big round of applause. Okay, well done. Okay, everybody, let's meet another company from the Sustainable Ocean Alliance's Accelerator Program. It's their first one, and they brought 5 of the companies with them today. Last but not least, the companies were picked at random. Marcus from Calwave. Did I pronounce it correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Where are you from?
I grew up in Munich in Germany and came to Berkeley 6 years ago.
Munich. One of my favorite cities in the world. That's where I get my Wiener Schnitzel. It's fantastic with the Spätzle. You ever have that?
That's from Vienna, from Austria, but we serve it too.
You serve it. Yeah. You make a pretty nice Spätzle with the Wiener Schnitzel. Also, I like Bavaria with the trout.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a good friend there. Maybe you know him. Hubert Berda? You know Dr. Berda?
Maybe.
Created the magazine Focus.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. My good pal. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, go.
Hi, I'm Marcus Seaman, co-founder CEO of Calwave Technologies. And we're blessed in the state of California that targets 50% renewables, and we know we need it if we read the news every day. We see climate change is the biggest threat to our global economy. But the reality looks really hard. If we really say we want to go 50% renewables by 2020, what does that actually mean? That means we need 10 gigawatts of flexible storage. To give you an idea, that's 10 nuclear power plants or 1,700 years of battery production. So with wind and solar alone, we can't get there. Wave power is the third largest resource after wind and solar, and has the great advantage of being more reliable, more available right where we need it, and much more power dense. So for San Francisco, for example, space is a big problem, so the energy density is a great advantage. So wind power a decade ago looked very scattered in terms of technology until the three-blade upwind design emerged. And this turned out to be the dominant design now because it has the feature to be shut down in storm conditions. For wave power, we don't have such industrial solution yet. So that's why the Department of Energy announced a US wave energy price in 2015, looking for the next generation. And our team entered with a new technology that serves the needs of both sides. On the one hand, we're operating at high efficiency, and on top of that, we're also survivable. And we achieve that by operating fully submerged. That means we're not exposed to storm conditions. So our world-class team of engineers entered the competition, collaborating with a range of different partners, and then eventually were awarded by the competition. So we tested various prototypes over the last couple of years. We started in 2014, initially supported by Cyclotron Road, then by the National Science Foundation. Then we received $500,000 from the US Wave Energy Prize. And then because of that, great results and our capability to survive storms, received a $5.4 million grant by DOE last year. And to meet the cost share requirements for the first phase, the Teal's Breakout Labs invested in us, and currently we're looking for a seed convertible for the second phase, and received a lot of great media coverage from National Geographic, Bloomberg, and Forbes. So initial entrance markets are islands and offshore drones, and in the long run, Calwave is an essential part of our renewable energy generation portfolio worldwide.
Okay, let's give him a big round of applause. Well done, Marcus. So this is super interesting, but the presentation was flawed in that you never showed your product, or if you did, you never really unbundled it. I'm going to assume that about 5 slides back, if you'll zip back 5 slides to where you had maybe that one, that you're the bottom device or you're the middle device, and I don't see it there. Is there a reason why you're not showing us the device? Is it super proprietary or something?
Exactly, yeah.
So if you're going to say that, then you need to say that in the presentation, or else you look like you might be full of it and there's no product here, right? So you have to be very cognizant of when you either leave something out or something doesn't exist in the world, that everything is super clear when you present it to investors. It's the job of the founder to make things super duper clear. So here is where you would really slow down and open up your presentation. What's most important is that people understand that you have a new mousetrap. It's not that you made this cheaper. It's not that you're making it at scale. There's something new here that we've never seen. So additionally, I would just take a deep breath here and say, here's what surface devices do. This is how they operate. And the major issue is there's no survivability, and they look ugly. I was able to infer visual impact means ugly, and people are not going to like them in the water. No survivability, I'm guessing, right, as somebody who is not invested in the space before, that survivability means in a tornado or if a tsunami comes, it survives, am I right?
It's more actually the annual storms or the 50-year return storms. So if we see, for example, what happened in Hawaii just last week, you have to be able to withstand these conditions. If you put these devices...
I wouldn't know that, so that's a perfect example of in your deck saying, and in Hawaii, if you had put these surface devices, they would be gone right now. They would be, is that right? Would that storm have gotten rid of them, or would the one that hit Puerto Rico have gotten rid of them?
Yeah, it depends on the type of device, but at the surface, you're exposed to these severe conditions, so it makes everything more expensive.
And then you have low efficiency at the bottom. So this is where I'd say bottom devices, like the one you see on the right, which is made by who?
Several competitors worldwide.
What do they call it?
The name of the companies?
That type of wave device.
It's as I showed in wind, it's still scattered there. Point observers, attenuators, bottom-mounted
So the way
devices.
this works in plain English is that big wall there that's on a tilt gets moved by the ocean current.
Exactly.
And
So
when it moves,
surge.
it creates power.
Exactly.
And that power then, because it's at the bottom, the power's got to be somehow make it to land. Is that the issue?
Same as, so all of these devices operate like an offshore wind turbine, so same infrastructure.
Got it. So you dig a trench, or you have some sort of cable
Exactly.
or conduit that runs it to shore?
Yeah, we can even use the same infrastructure.
Got it.
Long-term vision is to combine it with offshore
So
wind.
tell me about yours. So we know there's ones on the top, there's ones on the bottom. You have something different. Tell us a little bit about what's different about yours. That's invisible and durable.
Yeah, so main approach we're following is that we're fully submerged. That means we can take advantage of the fact that the energy density goes down exponentially. So
what does that mean? Energy density goes down exponentially.
So as you go down in water column, the energy density goes down.
What does it mean? The energy density of the wave?
Exactly.
So waves on the top are more powerful, waves on the bottom are less powerful.
Yeah,
Current on the bottom
exactly.
is not the same as current on the top.
Exactly.
And in the middle, it's it's in between?
So that's our secret sauce. We know when to be where at what time of the year.
So
Yeah,
you've
exactly.
made a wave power generating device that moves dynamically up and down?
Not dynamically, but
Why can't you just tell me what it is?
we know when it should operate and when it should be shut down.
Is there some
It's the
reason you
same.
can't tell me and tell everybody watching what it is?
It's similar to a wind turbine that has pitch and yaw control. So you can turn it off. That's why I used that example. A wind
Yeah, so
turbine
this
also,
would
if the
be-
storm comes.
Candidly, you got to just show what you should invest 10K in or 25K in is make an incredible movie. Like, you know, Elon Musk makes all these movies, like in simulations of the product. Make like a little simulation of the product in CGI. Do you have one or no?
We do, but we're in kind of demonstration phase. That's why we explain how it works, and we're happy to talk offline.
You don't want to show it because you're afraid people will steal it.
So we're essentially in this demonstration phase, and then the IP is currently under filing.
Got it. So the answer to my question, which is you're afraid somebody's going to steal it, is yes.
That's one threat. It's not the only.
What's the other threat?
So
You've intrigued me.
yeah, I think it would be interesting. So best would be to take a look at our prototype, and then it shows you how it works.
No, I know, but you said that there's a reason to not show it. I'm curious for that reason. Because we like to talk about why founders do what they do on this program. So what I'm trying to get out of you is, why are you hiding this? Because I'm super interested in this, and what you've done as an investor is just frustrate me in the audience. So why frustrate me in the audience? Just tell us what it is.
So I mean, our main investor is the Department of Energy. So we're really thankful that they support us. And essentially these peer reviewers, they know exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it.
But they don't want other people to know.
Exactly. That's why they
Now
support
I understand.
us.
So because the DOE gave you $5 million, they don't want you to show other people publicly.
No,
yet.
it's still up to us, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right, well, you've confounded and frustrated me, which means you get the second meeting. Congratulations. What an amazing technique. Frustrate and confound the investor into taking a meeting. I have no questions for you because I don't know what it is you do exactly. I know you make a device, and I know that right now you have it you have it working. You have a demonstration model, a full-scale demonstration model?
Exactly, that's what we're working on.
Wait, you have it or you're working on it?
We're working on. So last year,
Because it says here the demonstration model is 2017. It's 2018 now.
So the demonstration phase is from 17 to 2020.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't have a demonstration in 2017. You're building it.
Exactly. That's
So
when
the demo will be available when? When would people see this in the ocean?
in 2020 was when we were planning to deploy.
Got it. So you got a long way to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, and this is fascinating, by the way. As frustrating as the presentation is, the concept is fascinating to me, which is you're going to have some dynamic one that spins around and makes the most of the wave, sort of, is what you're telling me.
Exactly, yeah.
It's dynamic in how it moves around. Does that mean it's tethered to the bottom?
Yeah, we're using anchors.
It has to be anchored.
Yeah.
Now, when you anchor a bunch of these things, how do you prevent submarines and ships from running into them? How does the marine world currently deal with these things?
Same as a pier, they also don't run into piers, so there's a map and they have also navigation aid.
Got it.
So similar to wind farm, we will add navigation.
So the wind farms, the underwater wind farms, they're all these things are noted on maps, I guess, for people, and they're told don't go here.
Yeah. Also, the Coast Guard makes sure there's notice to mariners before you even enter the region. And so.
Interesting.
I mean, ocean is big, so there's a lot of space.
A lot of space. Now, do these things? I think somebody told me that these things could be dangerous for wildlife. Is that true or not? Like, do whales or dolphins or other marine life face a challenge of getting killed by these or injured by these type of solutions?
No, that's a really good question. And for us, that's an important question. We know that, for example, mammal can't see fast turning blades like a wind turbine or a tidal blade. In our case, the device moves with the water particles. So there's very little threat to mammal or others.
But currently, the current solutions do kill mammals from time to time. Or are they unknown?
So this is tidal, so they have fast spinning blades.
Yeah.
Some of these technologies have fast spinning blade, and some of the mammal can't see them because it's too fast for their perception.
So what I'm asking you is, do mammals die in the current existing solutions?
Not with our wave solution.
No, but the current solutions that are out there is what I'm asking you.
With tidal energy, it could. Wave is a different class of technologies.
I know that, but with the current ones, I'm asking you, do mammals die, and is that an issue in the industry?
Not that I'm aware of, yeah.
Got it. Okay, I understand. This is fascinating to me. So how many full-time employees currently?
We are 5 full-time and 1 collaborator with UC Berkeley.
And you have a $5 million grant. It's incredible. How does one test these? Are there pools where you set these up and that have waves in them?
Yeah, exactly. So part of our development phase is test models. So we actually just got back from Maine. There's a great facility there.
In Maine?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what I'm seeing a picture of here?
This is University of Iowa.
Ah.
Yeah, we tested there as part of the...
That's a wave tank?
Exactly.
You ever swim in that thing?
We actually did swim in that.
I would think that if you had to spend all your time around that tank, you'd turn the wave on and jump in there at some point. That's like the world's greatest wave pool, huh?
Actually, the world's greatest is in Washington, D.C., where we tested as a final of the Wave Energy Prize.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it has the largest tank.
Because this looks like, like a standard Olympic-sized swimming pool. How big is the one in Washington?
It has 200 flaps, so these are like 15 flaps here. So give you an order of magnitude.
And those are the flaps are the things that create the waves? They go up and down with...
You can control them.
How big of a wave can you make?
It's so big that it breaks. It's enough to surf.
Enough to surf?
Yeah, exactly.
Do people, you guys have a couple of drinks, it's the end of the night, nobody's using the wave machine this week, and you guys jump in there?
So actually for our island market, our solution could be reversed and generate waves on demand for customers, let's say a wealthy island owner that wants some waves after work.
Oh my God. So yeah, because Kelly Slater, I believe, made his own wave pool of Sacramento. It costs like $50,000 a day to rent it.
And it's on shore, so it's not the same experience being immersed in the ocean.
So you're saying that if, I don't know, Coney Island wanted to become a mecca for surfers, and they're kind of on a bay out in New York, they could put out wave machines and create a surfer days or surfer windows and create waves.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
And charged by renewables, so we could essentially charge the system and run it reverse to generate waves.
So you could actually make surfable beaches and get us off fossil fuels at the same time.
Yep.
I think that you lead with that next time. All right, this is amazing. Let's give him a big round of applause. Well done. Okay, everybody, we saw 5 amazing companies. We saw ETAC, which is doing nanomaterials to clean up oil spills in the number 1 location that they occur, which is marinas. Who knew? Then we saw Safety Net Technologies that's using light to make sure that what is taken from the ocean is focused and targeted, and we don't waste fish by taking them out of the ocean when we don't need to, through this incredible technology that fish are attracted or repelled by certain lights. Who knew? We have Loliware, and they are making biodegradable straws to eliminate all these plastic straws. We have the Sustainability Cloud, which is trying to build a marketplace and a concierge to do end-to-end use of plastics and getting rid of single-use materials and ending ocean plastics. And finally, we had Wave Energy, which is creating a very covert, seriously hidden device that exists somewhere between the bottom and the top of the current devices. And maybe they'll create some waves for people to surf on as well and save California from certain disaster. All of these companies were collected, I believe, by Daniela Fernandes, who is the founder and CEO of the Sustainable Ocean Alliance. Daniela, congratulations. Why did you start all this?
Thank you, Jason. I feel like a proud mother now after having seen them all.
I know. Look at you. You're the hen mother. When did you start this and why did you start it?
I was a freshman in college, Georgetown, 2014. I graduated last year, and I realized that the ocean needed similar to your theory of change solutions. And so I realized that how can we empower young people to create these solutions and how can we get them in the room? There are a lot of times where UN meetings are happening behind closed doors and the future generation isn't being included in the conversation. So that was my impetus for starting SOA. And then I realized that young people were creating for-profit ocean companies but didn't have the support system they needed. So I realized, let me move to Silicon Valley where we have the brightest minds, emerging technology, and merge the two worlds and bring them together.
Okay, so you graduated school 4 years ago and decided to start
1 year ago.
1 year ago, and you decided to start your own incubator and move to Silicon Valley, and you've done it.
Exactly.
This is a message to everybody who emails me and complains to me that they can't get into Silicon Valley. Who gave you the right to come here and do this?
I knew.
Who did you get the okay from?
I knew one person, and I had a gut feeling that it was the perfect place to go.
Look at you, huh? Nobody can stop you. You just decided to do it. You didn't ask for permission.
Exactly.
You kicked the door in. And then I'm sure there were 100 people who tried to stop you getting off the plane here, right?
I mean, going back to your thesis, everyone in DC where I was studying told me policy and NGOs are the answer. And I said to them, entrepreneurship is a way we're going to make market forces change and disrupt the industry.
Absolutely. And most importantly, you and I are going to get rich doing it.
Exactly.
Exactly. But this is a for-profit or a nonprofit?
This is a nonprofit.
Oh, my God.
But hear me out.
Breaking my heart. I was so in love with your story. And then you said nonprofit.
We have to first prove that this is a concept that will scale.
What are you talking about? You just proved it scaled. You showed up here from nowhere with 5 companies and started your own incubator.
Yeah.
I want you to go back today and talk to your attorneys and flip it to a for-profit and go raise a fund.
That is in the plan.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
I had the same conversation with Clara Brenner from the Urban Innovation Fund, but previously she had Tumble, which was a nonprofit.
Yeah.
She did all this work in this nonprofit helping startups. And then she realized, oh, if I had a fund, I would have made a bunch of money because she had a couple of hits in there.
Absolutely.
Making money makes it more sustainable.
Oh, I agree. And our plan is to scale. And we had over 100 applicants for this cohort. And so our hope is to have.
How would somebody apply to this fine program that you've made? How old are you, Daniela?
I'm 24.
My God. I thought millennials were not supposed to be working so hard, and you're supposed to be going to Coachella and having experiences in Machu Picchu. What are you doing working 6 days a week on this incubator?
Well, I think millennials have defined their lifestyle as their way of changing the world. And every single person out there who's a millennial. Our entrepreneurs are proof of concept of that, right?
This is fantastic. I really think it's great to see somebody not let anybody give them permission to do it. This is one of the things that people think you need permission to be an angel investor or start an incubator.
Sure.
You can just fake it till you make it and just do it. And if you do it, then you are it, right? I mean, it's one of the, I know this sounds incredibly simplistic, but as I wrote in my book, if you make 10 angel investments, even if they're just $100 each or $500 each, you are de facto an angel investor. And you can go around town saying you're an angel investor. And when they find out you're only putting in 500, they'll be like, oh my God, I have so much respect for you for grinding it out.
Absolutely.
Now, did you invest in these companies?
Yes, we invested.
How did you invest? Are you a trust fund kid or something? Where'd you get the money?
No, not personally. Actually, I'm not a trust fund kid.
Okay.
I come from a low-income background.
Okay.
So
Me too.
For me, taking this leap of faith was a huge risk, and my mother was a single mom, very supportive of me. But yet I realized
she must be proud.
I crossed the graduation stage with having turned on all my job offers in Wall Street, having no funding for SOA, but just the gut feeling that this was something I had to do with my responsibility.
So you raised money for the nonprofit?
I raised money from the nonprofit.
Got it. And then you're giving that money as investments to the...
Exactly, to the companies.
And the nonprofit gets equity in the companies?
Yes, we do.
Oh, so then it becomes a sustainable nonprofit.
Absolutely.
So it's evergreen.
Exactly.
So nonprofits can make for-profit investments.
We can, yeah. And as long as the exits go back into the operations of the organization.
Got it. All right, well, so that's a little different. Now, let's ask the next question. You as the venture capitalist, can you take a carry on the returns of a nonprofit investing and get compensated that way?
No, we can't.
So you can't get a percentage of the profits?
No.
In your employment package?
Exactly. It all goes to the operations of
the
nonprofit.
You can get paid a nice salary.
Yes, you can.
That's market rate.
Once you're sustainable as a nonprofit, you can.
See, I think what you have to do is, now that you've proven it, because these are real companies, I have to say, congratulations.
Thank you.
And of these companies, I'm going to tell you my number 1, 2, and 3.
Please do.
May I do that?
Yes, please.
All right, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to give you my 1, 2, and 3. Now, I'm going to give you some honest feedback on each.
Do it.
ETAC with the nanomaterials. This is very inspiring. That's somebody who was in school, figured out that nanotechnology might work, and they found out this great little hack, which is it's not the big spills, it's the little spills. That's a very interesting one to me. And nanomaterials are fascinating because they've never really become... They haven't hit their stride, or they haven't hit their promise. I'd say that's the way to say it. They haven't hit their promise yet. So I've been looking for them to hit their promise. So it makes me want to take a meeting with them. Safety net, another fascinating one. Who knew that technology existed? But that one does have some issues, I think, in figuring out what the prices will be and who's going to pay for it, et cetera. But I also thought that was very solid. Loliware is the clearest shot to goal because they've been doing it for a while, and they have customers, and the founder is the most aggressive and will likely be the most successful based on what I saw here today with my limited interaction. And I think Sustainably Cloud is onto something, but they're very much in the experimental phase. So we'll see what the product actually returns. So I think that one's at a disadvantage because they're not in market yet to the extent of some of the others. And Calwave is the one with that $5.4 million grant. You have to think something is going on here. Now, you invested, what, $25K in each of these?
Yes.
And you get what, like 1%, 2%, 3%?
Depending on where they are, yeah.
Oh, I see. So you scale it up based on what their valuation is.
Exactly.
Got it.
So we use a safe agreement.
You do a little safe agreement?
Yes, most founder friendly. And for us, it's a matter of how can we support these young entrepreneurs getting into Silicon Valley, right?
Got it. In some cases, they're not that young, though, okay, to be honest. They could be older,
They're
too.
all under 35.
Okay, so but don't be ageist, because some of these, I'm 47 now. There's some 40-year-old entrepreneurs doing a good job. I kid. So I am going to say that my third place is going to go to safety net. There's something about the wedge strategy there for me, even though I hate hardware, but it's hardware as a service. So the founder was smart enough to understand that's there. I don't think their current business, the light thing, is going to be the end of the line. I think there's going to be 2 or 3 other cards that turn over or opportunities around smart nets and smart IoT-like reporting back, and that every industry is going to be impacted by this. So just knowing the temperature of the water and the weight of the net, I'm just picking 2 variables. If we knew the weight of the net and we knew the temperature of the water and we knew the composure of what came out, then they might be able to say, you know what? This water is, when the water is at 32 degrees, our chances of getting mackerel go 2x. And when the water is at 36 degrees, our chances of mackerel go down 50%. We're not going to catch mackerel. This water is too warm. Like, there may be other things they figure out through smart nets. So as a smart nets company, not just organizing the fish and repelling the ones that shouldn't be in there, I think there's going to be like 3 or 4 other use cases. I don't know what they are, but that's one of the great things about a great founder and a great team from a great incubator, then going and taking this effort. So that's my number 3. Congratulations to Nadia. You can give her a little quick round of applause. My number, and this is really hard between these, my number 2 and my number 1, because I can make the case for either one being number 1 or number 2. One of them has a little more traction, I think, in terms of the amount of money that's been put into it, but the other one has a founder who is indefatigable and I think is going to inspire a lot of people. And so if I had to pick which one was a little bit further on with the money and one that had the founder who I felt was indefatigable, that means somebody who is not going to experience fatigue, I always go with the one that I think is the most rabid, insane, attacking it founder. So I give number 2 to Marcus and Calwave. Let's give him a round of applause. Well done. And I'll give number 1 to Chelsea and Loliware, because even though I think there's less revenue currently or less money put in, that Department of Energy $5.4 million is so compelling that an objective person might actually pick Calwave as number 1 and maybe Loliware as number 2. But I'm going to flip it and go with my gut, which is I want the crazy founder on my team. I like how it's kind of like, have you been in a bar fight? Let me ask you this.
No.
Okay. So here's the thing. When you have a crazy friend on your team and your squad, you got a crazy friend?
Yes.
Great. We all do.
Many.
What's that?
Many.
Many. When a bar fight breaks out, you want crazy on your side.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the crazy could also work both ways because the crazy person could start the fight. Putting that aside, you do want to have the person who's crazy. You want the Joe Pesci one on your team. Now, they may start the fight sometimes, but they also will finish it. And I feel like the crazy founder who's maniacal, who's going to win, is Chelsea in this case. Because I don't know if she's going to win in this case, but she's going to win in life. So I give number 1 to Chelsea and Loliware.
Loliware. Yes.
Loliware. Let's give her a big round of applause.
Thank you.
My pro tips to ETAC and Phillip are, and Sustainability Cloud and Humberto is, you're just earlier, right? So for me as an investor, I'm looking for people in my Goldilocks zone, and this is something you'll learn with your incubator. Your job as the den mother, or me as the scoutmaster, or whatever, as the leader of these things, is to mentor our folks as to which investors to go after at what stages. When somebody's like ETAC and Sustainability Cloud are trying to figure it out, they shouldn't be going out trying to raise too much money, because most of the people they're going to talk to are going to say, come back when you have contraction, come back when you have traction. You're going to have to find funding sources like an incubator. So for ETAC and Sustainability Cloud, I think going to Techstars or the next incubator after this one might be the great move to get that next 100K, to put it to work and go from there. But really an impressive group, and I really appreciate you bringing them in. And I am super impressed, Daniela, as one investor to another, now that you're an investor. I started investing when I was 39, 38, like 10 years. No, yeah, like maybe 8 years ago, so 39.
Yeah.
You're starting at 24.
Yes.
What a future you're going to have. Your mom is so proud of you right now. She's going to watch this episode.
Oh, she is.
Mom, don't cry. All right? I'm just like...
Thank you for the opportunity, Jason. We really appreciate it. And
I mean,
honestly, we just need champions like you who understand the value of, bringing tech into the sustainability space.
Continue. More. Can you keep going?
More, keep going.
Yes, absolutely. You read my book. It's incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
No, listen.
Keep going.
I'll give you some unsolicited advice as to the place that you've put yourself. Number 1, for the people who are listening, don't let anybody tell you can't do it. Just do it. Say, I'm starting an incubator, and give the 5 companies no money. Just say, I'm going to give you advice, and I'm going to pretend I have an incubator, and you can give me 1% of the company if you think I deserve it at the end. All of a sudden, you're running an incubator. And you know what happens? You do this 3 or 4 times, statistically, one of them is going to work out. And you know what happens if you have one thing work out?
It all works out.
Everybody kisses your ass forever. Before Uber, nobody wanted to take a meeting with me. After I invest in Uber, everybody wants to take the meeting. Was I any different before I made the Uber investment after that? Or the other 5 unicorns I've invested in, or the other companies that become worth $100 million? It doesn't matter. All that matters to these people on the outside is they just judge you by your performance. So you just have to go and get through 5 of these classes. When you hit 25 of these, one of them is going to raise a Series A.
Yes.
And when one of them raises a Series A, everybody's going to take you seriously right after that. And then everybody's going to want to come to your incubator. So that's the life lesson for people. What is it about you that gave you the chutzpah to do this and just do it? It was something... Did they just tell you you're going to be an entrepreneur, or you just had it in you?
I just had it in me. I knew that my last year at Georgetown, I was done with classes and wanted to do something about the urgency of climate change. And for me, it was a matter of, like you said, and just knock down those doors and convince people all over the world that we need a different disruptive model. And I think this is it.
Amazing. I am truly impressed. I mean, I'm impressed by the companies, but I have to say I'm most impressed with you for starting your own incubator at the age of 24. That is extraordinary. I don't mean to make it about age, but it's really so impressive to me. All right, this has been a great episode. Thank you, Director Tony. We're going to miss you. And Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie, of course. Thank you for all the help. And welcome to the team, Ben. Don't drink all the La Croix, okay? Be reasonable. 2 La Croix a day, okay. 6 La Croix a day, not okay. All right? Don't bankrupt me on the La Croix. We'll see you all next time on The Swing of Stars. Bye-bye.